Welcome to a journey through the lives of four men who changed the course of history: Andrew Carnegie, John D. Rockefeller, Henry Ford, and Cornelius Vanderbilt. These men, born into modest circumstances, rose to become titans of industry, shaping not only their own destinies but the very fabric of modern America. We will embark on a journey to take a closer look at their lives, their challenges, their successes, and the legacy they have left behind. Chapter 1. Childhood and Early Years. Our story begins in the early 19th century, a time of great change and opportunity, but also of hardship. In a small Scottish town, a boy named Andrew Carnegie was born on November 25, 1835. The son of a weaver, Andrew's early years were marked by poverty and uncertainty. The Industrial Revolution had taken away his father's livelihood, and in 1848, the family made the difficult decision to leave Scotland and seek a new life in America. Settling in Pittsburgh, young Andrew quickly learned the value of hard work. He took a job as a bobbin boy in a cotton factory, earning just $1.20 a week. Despite these humble beginnings, Carnegie's mind was sharp and curious, and he seized every opportunity to learn and grow. Meanwhile, in the small town of Richford, New York, another future titan was born on July 8, 1839. John D. Rockefeller's childhood was a stark contrast to the wealth he would later amass. His father, a peddler of dubious goods, was often absent, leaving the family in a precarious position. Yet, even as a young boy, John exhibited a remarkable knack for business. He saved every penny he could, and by the age of 16, he had his first job as a bookkeeper. It was a modest start, but it set the stage for what would become one of the most significant business empires in history. Further west, in Dearborn, Michigan, Henry Ford was born on July 30th, 1863. Raised on a farm, Ford was not content with the simple life of a farmer. From a young age, he was captivated by machines and how they worked. He would spend hours taking apart and reassembling small gadgets, much to the curiosity of his family. This fascination would later drive him to revolutionize the automobile industry and change the way the world moved. And then, on the shores of Staten Island, New York, Cornelius Vanderbilt came into the world on May 27, 1794. The son of a poor farmer, Vanderbilt's early life was tough, with little time for formal education. But what he lacked in schooling, he made up for with grit and determination. At the tender age of 16, he borrowed $100 from his mother to start a ferry service in New York Harbor. It was the beginning of a journey that would see him build one of the largest transportation empires in the world. Chapter 2. The Path to Adulthood. As they grew older, each of these young men faced critical decisions that would shape their futures. For Andrew Carnegie, opportunity came in the form of the railroad industry. Starting as a telegraph messenger, he quickly rose through the ranks, impressing his superiors with his intelligence and work ethic. By the time he was in his mid-20s, Carnegie had become one of the most knowledgeable men in the railroad business. But he didn't stop there. He began investing in iron and steel, industries that would soon become the backbone of America's industrial might. John D. Rockefeller, on the other hand, found his calling in the burgeoning oil industry. After working as a bookkeeper and saving every cent, he made his first investment in a small oil refinery in Cleveland, Ohio. Rockefeller quickly recognized the potential of oil not just as a source of light, but as a powerful energy source for the future. His meticulous attention to detail and relentless drive allowed him to expand his business, eventually leading to the creation of the Standard Oil Company. Henry Ford, unlike the others, was drawn to the world of mechanics and engineering. Leaving the farm, he moved to Detroit to work as a machinist, where he gained invaluable experience. But Ford had bigger dreams. He envisioned a world where automobiles were not just for the wealthy, but accessible to everyone. His journey would take him through years of trial and error, but his perseverance would eventually pay off in ways that even he could hardly imagine. Cornelius Vanderbilt, with his early success in ferrying, saw an opportunity in the steamship business. He was a man who thrived on competition, and he quickly built a reputation for reliability and speed. Vanderbilt's business acumen and tenacity led him to expand into railroads, where he would make his greatest mark. By the time he was an adult, Vanderbilt had already begun to amass a fortune that would secure his place in history. Chapter 3. The First Major Businesses. The transition from young entrepreneurs to industry giants was marked by bold decisions and groundbreaking ventures. For Andrew Carnegie, the formation of the Carnegie Steel Company in 1870 was the defining moment of his career. He understood that steel would be the material that would build modern America, from railroads to skyscrapers. Carnegie didn't just build a company, he built an empire, using the latest technology and innovative business practices to dominate the steel industry. His ability to vertically integrate his business allowed him to control every aspect of production, reducing costs and increasing profits to unprecedented levels. John D. Rockefeller's rise was no less spectacular. In 1870, he founded the Standard Oil Company, which quickly grew to control nearly all aspects of the oil industry in the United States. Rockefeller was a master of efficiency, finding ways to cut costs and outmaneuver competitors. His aggressive tactics earned him both admiration and criticism, but there was no denying his success. By the end of the 19th century, Standard Oil had become the most powerful and feared corporation in America, and Rockefeller himself had become a symbol of the new industrial age. Henry Ford's moment of triumph came with the introduction of the Model T in 1908. Unlike previous automobiles, the Model T was affordable, reliable, and easy to maintain. But Ford's true genius lay in his production methods. By perfecting the assembly line, he revolutionized manufacturing, reducing the time it took to build a car from 12 hours to just 93 minutes. This innovation not only made Ford one of the wealthiest men in the world, but also transformed society, making car ownership a reality for the average American. Cornelius Vanderbilt, who had already made a name for himself in steamships, turned his attention to the railroad industry in the 1860s. He saw the potential of railroads to connect the vast American continent, and he moved quickly to consolidate his control over key routes. Vanderbilt's aggressive business strategies, including the famous Erie War, allowed him to dominate the railroads just as he had dominated the steamship industry. By the time of his death, he had built a transportation empire that stretched across the country and amassed one of the greatest fortunes of his time. Chapter 4. Building Wealth. With success came immense wealth, but also new challenges. Andrew Carnegie, now one of the wealthiest men in the world, faced a moral dilemma. He believed that the rich had a responsibility to give back to society, a belief that would shape the latter part of his life. In 1901, he sold Carnegie Steel to J.P. Morgan for $480 million, making him one of the richest men in history. But instead of hoarding his wealth, Carnegie began giving it away, funding libraries, universities, and cultural institutions. His philosophy, outlined in his essay, The Gospel of Wealth, was that those who had benefited most from society should use their wealth to improve it. John D. Rockefeller also found himself at the pinnacle of wealth, becoming America's first billionaire. His fortune was so vast that it was said to be equivalent to nearly 2% of the U.S. economy. Rockefeller, like Carnegie, believed in philanthropy, but his approach was different. He quietly funded numerous causes, focusing on education, public health, and scientific research. The Rockefeller Foundation, established in 1913, became one of the most influential philanthropic organizations in the world, continuing to impact millions of lives to this day. Henry Ford, whose wealth also reached staggering levels, took a different path. He used his fortune to try to reshape society according to his vision. Ford was a complex character, driven by a desire to improve the lives of ordinary people, but also holding controversial views. He introduced the $5 workday, doubling the wages of his workers, which he believed would enable them to afford the products they made. This move not only increased productivity, but also solidified Ford's reputation as a benevolent industrialist. Cornelius Vanderbilt, whose fortune was built on the back of his transportation empire, was less interested in philanthropy. Known for his tough, no-nonsense approach to business, Vanderbilt focused on ensuring that his wealth stayed within the family. However, his legacy would live on through the institutions he founded, including Vanderbilt University, which remains a leading educational institution in the United States. If you've enjoyed the video so far, don't forget to like it. Subscribe to my channel and activate the bell to give the channel added value and support my channel for free. Chapter 5. The Fate of Their Wealth and Legacy. As the years passed, each of these men considered the legacies they would leave behind. Andrew Carnegie, having given away nearly all of his fortune, left behind a world transformed by his generosity. The hundreds of libraries he funded, the universities he supported, and the cultural institutions he established continue to benefit society. Carnegie's legacy is one of philanthropy and a belief in the power of education and knowledge. John D. Rockefeller's legacy is also deeply tied to his philanthropic efforts. The Rockefeller Foundation has had a profound impact on global health, education, and scientific research. His descendants have continued his philanthropic work, ensuring that the Rockefeller name remains synonymous with giving and social responsibility. Henry Ford's legacy is seen every day on the roads of America and around the world. The Ford Motor Company remains a symbol of innovation and industrial might. The Ford Foundation, established in 1936, continues to support social justice initiatives, reflecting Ford's belief in the power of industry to improve society. Cornelius Vanderbilt, although less philanthropic than his contemporaries, left a lasting legacy through the institutions he founded. Vanderbilt University stands as a testament to his belief in the importance of education, while his transportation empire helped to build the modern United States. However, much of his fortune was dissipated over the generations, a reminder that even the greatest wealth is not immune to the passage of time. Chapter 6. Character and Ethics. Behind their immense wealth and power, each of these men had a distinct character that shaped their decisions and their legacies. Andrew Carnegie was a man of contradictions. Despite his ruthless business practices, he was deeply concerned with the welfare of others. His belief in the moral obligation of the wealthy to give back to society was a guiding principle in his life, even as he engaged in cutthroat tactics to amass his fortune. John D. Rockefeller was a devout Baptist who saw his wealth as a divine blessing to be used for the good of society. Yet, his business practices were often ruthless, and he faced harsh criticism for creating a monopoly that crushed competitors. Rockefeller's ability to reconcile his faith with his business practices remains a complex aspect of his character. Henry Ford was a visionary, a man who saw the potential for machines to transform society. He was also deeply committed to his workers, introducing policies that improved their lives. However, Ford was also known for his authoritarian management style and controversial views, including his opposition to unions and his problematic political stances. Cornelius Vanderbilt was perhaps the most pragmatic of the four. He was a man who believed in the power of self-reliance and hard work. Vanderbilt was not known for his philanthropy, and he made few apologies for his aggressive business practices. His focus was on building and protecting his empire, a task at which he excelled. The stories of Andrew Carnegie, John D. Rockefeller, Henry Ford, and Cornelius Vanderbilt are more than just tales of rags to riches. They are stories of ambition, innovation, and the transformative power of industry. These men shaped the modern world, not just through their wealth, but through their vision and determination. Their legacies continue to influence our lives today, offering lessons in both the possibilities and the responsibilities that come with great power. As we reflect on their lives, we are reminded that the true measure of success is not just in what we achieve, but in what we leave behind.